Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky Davison as always. How you going, mate?
Mate, I'm doing pretty good. What are we now? I think we're 1 hour in front, right? I think when we normally do our podcast,
Yeah,
because of the
I think so.
daylight saving went forward or backwards. I don't remember, and you guys fall back soon. Doing pretty
We
well.
went
I know.
forward.
Yeah, we went forward, right? And they go back. America goes back soon.
Yeah, they go back soon. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I'm doing pretty well. Like our Steelers, I'm thinking like our Steelers are what 1-3.
Yeah.
You know, there's and JJ52 says Bills have a lot of injuries, but we have a lot of injuries too. So I'm doing all right. I'm kind of like if this season goes bad, fair enough. It's been 19 years. It's been a long time since we haven't had a losing season. It's Kenny season. I think they'll play better. Everyone's choosing the Bills to win this game. Fair enough. But I think there's more of a more positive approach to this. We still haven't got TJ. You still haven't got Kazi out there and other guys. But I think it's like maybe it's time the Steelers have a bit of a losing stretch. I don't really know, right? It's been a long time since I've ever seen the Steelers not have a chance for a playoffs. Probably in all my fandom since 2002 or 2003, 2004. So since like Big Ben. So
you're saying there's no chance of the playoffs?
Oh, there's a chance. There's always a chance, right? Always. We're still only one game away from the AFC North. I think that's, but I'm just saying, like, if they do go this certain way where, the Bills beat us, Bucks beat us, and that happens, well, I'm kind of okay with that. But at the same time, I'm pretty happy with what's happening with this team. Mike Tomlin made you talked about in the war room, right? Mike Tomlin made a big move getting Kenny in there.
Yeah, he found his cojones, mate. Far out, like about time.
But if we look back at that,
gotta say, like on that, and then I want you to keep going with it. But if Trey Lance was good enough to play in the NFL, then Kenny Pickett was good enough to play in the NFL from the start of the season. But I'm glad the O-line had time to gel. I'm just going to say that. That's what I'm going to say. Continue.
I think he's going to do all right. I think if we look back at this season and as much as people say fire Tomlin, every time we lose, you have to give it to the guy respect. If he walks out of the next 4 games, if he walks away with 2-2, that deserves respect in my opinion. And starting Kenny, they were saying, well, they should have started from the start, but maybe you didn't have to. Maybe you wanted to see what you saw with Trubisky, and you got through 4 games. Now you've given Kenny Pickett a shorter season, right? For him, he's starting, right? So now he's got, 14 or 13 games left. A short season to try and get to the playoffs. The way they did it, it kind of makes sense in my opinion. You gave it a go with Trubisky. It didn't work out. You're only 1 game behind the AFC North. And this year, you don't know what's happening. Like we talked off air just then talking about the game last night. 12-9 Colts versus Denver. Denver's meant to be a better team with Russell Wilson. They look awful. And the Colts should be 4-1. They look really bad too. So this early in the season, there's been a lot of poor play. So it's okay. Maybe we can turn it around.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think it's interesting because, and the title of today's show is really, can a Kenny Pickett-led Steelers team pay the largest rookie bills? So it's kind of, we all know the rookies have those position room meetings and they've got to pay those massive bills, and quarterbacks usually and wide receivers get slugged with that, particularly if they're in the first few rounds. But I was just thinking, like, the odds, the money line, I just tried to pull up then one of the latest money lines. So, the Steelers, the spread's like 13.5. The money line is, the Bills minus 1,000, Steelers are plus 650. I think I saw it in our Australian betting mark. I think it was like $7 the Steelers were paying to win the game. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about the way that Kenny Pickett led the team last week and the spark and the guts. Not only did Mike Tomlin find his cojones in, bringing Kenny Pickett in, man, Kenny Pickett's got some balls of steel. I mean, the throw with Quinnen Williams that everyone's been talking about, the barreling through the line for touchdowns, I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. And then I think about the injury report. I don't know if you've seen the injury report as of overnight, but the list is 25 people long. Like, listen to this. Christian Benford, hand, out. Jamison Crowder, wide receiver, out. Gabe Davis is full practice, but game status unspecified. Tremaine Edmonds, questionable. If he's not there, that's a massive hole in their defense. They've rested Daquan Jones, unspecified. Dawson Knox, their key tight end, which like caused us problems last year and causes massive problems for teams. He's out. And he's a safety blanket for Josh Allen. Jake Kumaro, I don't really know who he is, but he's out. Cam Lewis, cornerback, unspecified. Isaiah McKenzie, wide receiver, questionable. Von Miller, unspecified. Mitch Morse, unspecified. We should say Mitch had full practice on Thursday, Friday. Josh Murray, tackle, foot, unspecified. He's so we'll see what happens with him. Ed Oliver, questionable. Key defensive tackle for them, stops the run. Jordan Phillips, a really capable backup. He's questionable too. So if those two guys, if even one of those guys are out and Tremaine Edmonds is out, that's their run defense, suddenly has a problem. Jordan Poyer's out. We know Micah Hyde's already out for the season. Tre'Davious White's not back yet from injury. Roger Saffold, veteran, was rested. He probably plays. He's a guard, though. And Diggs didn't practice Friday and is unspecified. So if you look at this, they could be without their starting and backup defensive tackle. They'll be without two to three of their top wide receivers, and they'll be without their top tight end. Now, Josh Allen's good enough to get it done, but I'm telling you, man, like, this is it's primed for. Now, look, I'm sounding all bullish and whatever, and people say, "Oh, Matt, you're just in the Kenny Pickett hype train." Yeah, the Steelers might get blown out still. Like, this Buffalo team can put points on. I watched that Titans game. I've watched a few of their other quarters in and around the season so far. But this is a long injury list on a team that's had a lot of people, injuries all season, right? Like, just as much as the Steelers had like so many games in such a short period, the Buffalo Bills, they've had to have all these different guys step up. I mean, this is a long list, man.
That's incredible. So that $7 in Australia looks quite nice right now, doesn't it?
100%. I have to check it because I had this in my bet slip. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it on Saturday. I'll see if it blows out even more with more people putting it on the Bills and multis. It's probably like $5 now. I probably just lost some money.
The big one for me is Jordan Poyer being out. So he's gone, right? That's their safety. He's leading at 4 interceptions. And the other one too, Isaiah McKenzie's not a blowover either for a receiver. If he's concussion, they're going to deal with concussion differently this time as well. Same for us with Terrell Edmonds. He might be, and also the go-to guy, Dawson Knox, tight end. So I didn't know these guys. I didn't even know these players were out. I wasn't really keeping up, to be honest.
Yeah, man, I've been following this all week. It's like the longest. It's been talked about in the BTSC Slack channel as well, but it's like nuts.
Looks like an even game. You got young rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett to go in there versus a depleted Bills team that has all the pressure on them to win. So that's a really good chance for them to try and at least be competitive. And I know we have injuries too, but not as long as that list.
Well, we've got, so Cameron Sutton's questionable. Witherspoon's out. Edmonds is questionable. Deontay had a full practice after suffering a hip injury, hip complaint. He was limited on Thursday. Cameron Sutton, we just talked about him. We talked about Kelly Witherspoon. Levi Wallace looks like he's in, which is good. He had a full practice on Friday or today, US time, as we go for those listening live. Terrell Edmonds limited practice. We said he's questionable. I don't think he'll play though. This is where like Kazee would have been really helpful. Minka's full practice, even though he had the knee complaint. Mason Cole was limited. Chris Wormley full practice. Cam Hayward was full practice, which is good because I was worried about Cam. Like this is probably more like last year's game than a shootout at this point. If you look at the players that are in and out, but this is a classic. And I know someone in the live chat's brought up, a chance for Kenny to match Ben's record, all those sorts of things. This is a sort of a game where if Kenny even can walk away, and I know we said this wasn't acceptable with Mitch Trubisky, but if Kenny can walk away with one throwing touchdown or 2 throwing touchdowns, 1, rushing touchdown and keep it clean, no interceptions, you walk away with a win here, you get the season back on track, right? Like this is the difference there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see these sorts of injuries, Steelers coming back. But this is a game as well. Like Najee has to step up. Claypool has to make a bleeping catch. I mean, come on, man.
I'm done with him.
I've watched that play over and over. And I hear people go, that was a bad throw. Kenny shouldn't have thrown that. He underthrew. It wasn't a bad throw.
Who catches like that? Who actually goes up and what kind of pro receiver in the NFL contorts their body that way and doesn't make a receiver play? He calls himself Mabletron after Megatron. He's nothing like Megatron. My opinion. I'm actually over him, man. I wish they'd trade him or get rid of him or start Sims over him or someone else or go to Pickett more.
You're like against a 5'8" and 5'11". I think the other guy was 5'10" or 5'11".
He's got no moxie, man.
How is that possible, man? Man, I've got like a partial shoulder tear and dislocation right now, and if I had to, I could high point a ball, but like, I don't.
It's been happening throughout his whole career. Big Ben helped him out in the first, rookie, but other than that. There's nothing really physical about him. He doesn't go up there and fight for the football. He can't lean on his feet. I'm just done. I'm just done seeing, and we keep giving him excuses. Keep waiting for him to do something. I'm just done with Claypool, man. I'd rather see Deontay Johnson or Pickett out there or someone else easily.
You know what? Yeah. And like I was talking to you off air about it. I wouldn't trade him necessarily this season until we know what Calvin Austin's going to do and the problems with Gunner. Surely they're going to swap him out for Steve Sims or let Austin do the work there. But like next year's draft at the moment is looking like a pretty weak wide receiver class. So I know people talk about Claypool's market. Someone will throw it at him or do what I don't even trust him to do this. But remember we talked about it early in the season. Put Claypool in a Kyle Pitts style role. Play him at like he's
not good deep, man. You have to give that guy the ball like really early.
You got him in absolute space, and then hope he does something once he's got the ball. But
even to me, his route running ability. And look, I'm no coach, I don't play, but what I see is his route running ability is just.
He can't run routes. He can't. You look at what he did in college. He just ran go routes.
Yeah, I don't understand, and I agree what Gary says here. Holy dooly, mates! It's incredible how he's even on the team. George says give Sim a try. Sims to me is a better footballer, and we talked about this a million times. To me, he's not a receiver. He's just a guy that can maybe catch, and I just don't like the way his body position is and they're putting that on Pickett. Pickett gave the guy a chance, and like you said, 6'4" versus 5'8". You have that matchup. You should be able to go up there. And even if the worst part is not that he didn't catch it. The worst part is he made the other guy get the interception. He could have like maybe dropped it and pushed it away or something like that. But he fumbled it in the air, fell on his back, got up and looked around and went, was that my fault? Didn't even have any chance to go and chase or didn't even try and tackle. It's just, I don't know. I'm just done with him. I
love the Kenny Pickett attitude. Do you know what the one thing I loved about it? It was in the press conference after Kenny Pickett was like, you know what? I said I'm going to go back to him because you got to go make plays. I just love that. Like, keep going. And remember I said that on last week's show around my problem with Trubisky was he didn't want to throw an interception. And I talked about the fact it doesn't matter in the NFL. What matters is winning. And if you throw 3 interceptions, but you throw 4 or 5 touchdowns and you win the game, no one cares. Like, you won. Like, we care, obviously, and we don't want that to be a trend, right? Like, if you're going to throw 3 interceptions every game of the season, you're going to have a problem, right? But, like, at the end of the day, you've got to go out there to win games. You don't go out there to not lose. You don't go out there to save your job. That's not how this sport works. And so that was the thing I loved about it. I thought the other interception, I was talked about on War Room this week, Hail Mary one. If the Steelers had a wide receiver that could actually jump up there and get the damn ball, maybe we wouldn't have this issue. Like if Claypool could do half the crap that he talks about being able to do as a top 3 wide receiver, Brandon Marshall would have caught that ball. 100% he would have caught that ball.
Answer me this question. Answer me this. What has Claypool done since that rookie season? The last 2 years.
But even that rookie season, mate, like some of those touchdowns, the sweeps near the goal line, if you're 6'4" and 238 pounds and you can run 4.4, 40, come on, man. Of course you can score that one.
They're giving him a big chance to be part of this offense, and I still just don't see it. I don't
do you know what? Works. I'm like, if they got cap next year, and they probably will with the way the rollover is going to work, man, I just hope they find a way to bring Juju back on like 8 or 9 a year for 4 years. Bring him back. He's only on a 1-year deal with the Chiefs. Like, bring Juju back. Like, to give Pickett Juju, someone's going to take those short passes, open Deontay up with Pickens. I love that, man. I miss Juju.
Gary says here, give him a break. I say, nah, don't give him a break. He's had a break, and you know what I mean. I'm just done with Claypool. You
But
got
he
to go out
doesn't.
and do something.
But he can't. He doesn't do anything, man. He's a second-round draft pick. He doesn't do anything.
I just don't think he has any real physical nature or like.
You tell me this. James Washington. Did he do more in the Steelers in the chances he got to play than Claypool does? Like, given how many chances Claypool gets, if they'd given James Washington these many chances, he'd be like Deontay Light.
He stayed on his feet. He went through his routes.
He blocked.
He ran over some. I can't remember who ran over someone on the goal line. He actually did something where he ran someone over. I just don't think Claypool can stay on his feet long enough. I don't think he's strong enough to be a receiver. I think it's almost like his helmet's too big for him. And he's getting, like he's falling over. And I've been done with him for a long time. Like, prove me wrong. I've been done since the Vikings point. I'm done with his ego, and I'm done with his lack of care for anything. And you see it every week, and they're blaming that on Pickett. You can't blame it on Pickett. I'm done with these. Didn't Claypool come out and say, 9 times out of 10 I'll catch that ball, but there was one time he dropped it? No, you'd probably be the opposite. He's just, to me, I don't understand why he's on the team. But I've been saying that for a very long time.
Oh, I can't understand it.
I'm not buying his jersey or anything like that. I tell you, I just like, if you make a play, go make a play, be a receiver. But other than that, I just don't really understand how he is a part of this. Like you see George Pickett making play, you see Johnny Johnson. Sure, DJ's had drops, right? You see Steven Sims now hopefully will come in to be a kick returner. Maybe he might be in there. Even Miles Boykin can play receiver in there too. Right? They're all trying their hardest and trying to. I just don't see how. It's like you said, he needs to be a tight end. Like, go and be that third tight end that you can check the ball down to get 7 yards, to maybe work the middle of the field. Wide receiver wise, he falls down consistently. He has no body position in the air. He can't beat corners. He can't beat anyone. The corners must be laughing at him. Anyways, that's what it is.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't understand it. I mean, look, Chase Claypool's in his 3rd season. Obviously, Washington came into the lead. Washington's played 2,100 snaps. Claypool's played 1729. And if you look at the stats, Washington's 180 yards less. They've had the same amount of receiving touchdowns. James Washington has had 20 less receptions. Hasn't had all the rushing attempts because that's not what he does in a team, which is why Chase Claypool, I think, has had hats in previous years, particularly before they drafted Najee in 2020. And also you look at the team, the receivers that we had when James Washington came in. I think it's a fail.
We saw better production. I know it's only preseason, but there's still some value to it. We saw some better production with Pickett to Vaughns and his willingness to get to the goal line. I just don't see that with Claypool. I just think he's just there because they think he's a threat to go down the field. And in that play against Pickett, it was not a threat.
Well, so this is the funny. So Dave Schofield, the Oracle, brings this up and says you have to wonder if things that should have been corrected the last 2 years. Hence, they made the change at wide receiver coach. This is actually really interesting because I was thinking about this earlier in the week when Juju came out and made the comment on not how he's learnt more on offense in the last sort of half a year or since he joined the Chiefs than he did in the previous 5 years with the Steelers. Yeah, and it's
true.
In many ways, Figner in Canada, of course you've learnt more with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. Come on, man. But I also thought about it. Imagine if, and condolences even now to Coach Drake's family. But I wonder how big a loss Coach Drake was for this Steelers team and the wide receiving unit. I think when we think about, and I can't remember the year that he started with the Steelers, but we think about all the wide receivers that we had, over the last sort of decade or so and how well they did and how they were going to come in before they had the problems like Martavis Bryant and AB and all the rest of it. I think about that and even the start that Juju had. And I wonder, whether this would have been different with these guys at the helm. And that's the thing, and had a guy like Claypool had more time with him. But it's what you talked about there in route running, Mark. And that was a problem with him at college. And it's fine. If you are not that route runner, you do put that guy in a tight end like position because that's his body. Like it is. And that was the knock on him coming out is a lot of people sat there and said, he's a tight end, he's not a wide receiver, and needs to put on weight. And people were like, no, he could be an explosive wide receiver. I put my hand up. At the time, I said, nah, he's just going to be a monster wide receiver with band, get open, blah, 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 blah. I thought he'd learn to run a bit more, run routes a lot better than what he did, though. I'm surprised. There's just this lack of development there. And I think it's right, as Dave brought up.
Every single time.
That's why they've made the change.
Every single time he goes for a catch, the body position is absolutely awful. And you don't need to be a receiver coach. You don't need to be a coach of the NFL.
Exactly.
You look at it as a fan and go, what are you doing? The way how you go and jump the ball is terrible. Holden says here, Senquez Golson could cover Claypool. And I agree with that. Anyone can cover Claypool. It's not too hard. You just got to turn his body around. His footwork's awful. His body position in the air is awful. He flails too many times, trying to get the football. And we keep playing him at number 2 every time.
Well, what do you think about this? Is making contested catches a mindset thing or something you can coach up?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of both, I would say. I'd say it would be a bit of technique and strategy. But the main thing I find is I think it's a mindset thing with Claypool because they had that one big year, the 11 TDs. He went out and bought all these things called Mapletron, all the things, he started doing the deals, this kind of stuff. He thinks, in my opinion, and this is why I'll never have him on the show with me anywhere I go because we wouldn't be mates because I probably bagged him out too much. But he thinks he's bigger than his own shoes. And that's the reality of it is. He comes out and says these crazy things. I want to be top 3 or I am top 3. You're no way you're top 3. You're not even top 25, top 30, top 40. No way. There are so many other receivers out there.
But how can I don't understand. He should just spend time with Pat Freiermuth at training.
He's fantastic the way he.
Pat's an expert. But I think it is. Look, I'd compare it to 2 things. I think you look at the way centers get better at sinking free throws in the NBA, right? They practice that. You've got to practice it. But it is a mindset thing, man. You're 6'4" in a 235 to 238 pound body, man. Like, come on.
I've seen it though. We've seen it with other players playing rugby league. Though, remember T-Rex? No one else will know this. Only you will. Remember T-Rex who played for Manly, the big fella. He was exactly the same. The biggest guy on the field, but couldn't run hard. And you guys won't get that, but we will. So Alfred says here too, these guys are world-class athletes. For some reason, Claypool plays like a 6'4" Ryan Switzer.
Ryan Switzer was better, man. He caught the ball.
I just don't like, even when you said about Freiermuth, right? He's going through you can see in his route running, he can sit down in the hole, he can work back to the football, stuff like that. I don't see any of that with Claypool. He never works back to the football. He can't high point it. He's always getting cut. He's always covered by anyone. So I don't know. I want to see him have a good game, but you keep saying that every single week and nothing happens.
Well, we went through the injury report earlier on in the show, right, for the Bills. If he can't have a big game this week, when are you going to have one?
Well, we've been saying it for a long time, so it's just very frustrating. I would rather see Steven Sims have a chance to get in there, or anyone else on the practice squad to have a chance for these young guys to develop and get out there, because I think they're more of a football receiver than Claypool is. Or you put Claypool at tight end, and you move on, and you use Gentry in there too.
You flex him, and particularly when you're doing all this like pre-motion snap stuff. Right now the league thinks he's a wide receiver and a crap one at best, right? So you may as well,
mate, do
that. But you may as well do that because at least you're gonna be in a position where you might trick the defense once or twice.
Do you see?
Imagine if you sweep him across and they're like, "Hey," thinking he's going to grab the ball and he doesn't. And then he he's a receiving option. I can't fathom having that athletic ability and not having that athletic ability at the same time, if you know what I mean.
Holden says he was at the game on Sunday. He accidentally covered Claypool. So there you go. Even Holden was there covering Claypool. It's easy. All right, these comments are on point, by the way. I guess I know you guys feel our frustration. I know the guys on the audio side feel our frustration too. I just don't see that Claypool is a good receiver in this league, and I'd rather see someone else have a chance. That's what I'm trying to say. Pickens went out there and he can block, he can catch. His route running is fantastic. His arms are about as long as 10-foot bloody ladder. He's out there trying to develop as a young rookie. And Claypool just seems like a guy that just goes out through the motions. I've watched him. I've watched him on the All-22s. I've watched him on playing football every week. He just goes through he doesn't come back to Pickett. If someone's in trouble, he doesn't come back to Trubisky. He's never running around trying to get open. He goes through his route, completes it, and that's it, and then stops. I never see him doing any extra effort. And I think there's a big reason why is because he's involved in this TikTok stuff, the promotion of his own thing. I saw the other day on Instagram, he did like a little video, and he was talking about how he's one of the best receivers. He's not, or how he can go down and catch the long ball. I don't see any of that. I don't see how he's a threat to anyone. Like, if you're a defense, mark him up man on man, and he's out for the whole game. You know, I don't see how he's that big of a threat.
He's not. He's just not. I guess some in the live chat, Alfred brings up Pickens, and he should be wide receiver number 2. He is wide receiver number 2. Whether they name him that or he's not, he is. That's who they're throwing.
He's playing really well, man.
He's playing well. But you know what? Okay, so this is the other thing. I watched back at the game. I watched the second half, particularly after the game. I kind of... Jed Devil top 3 TikTok. That's great.
There's too many good ones. Another one, Jed Devil was a top 3 TikTok. I love him. We have to, man.
But I don't think we're using Najee Harris enough in the short passing game. We throw it behind the line of scrimmage, but I want to see just little cuts in, little slants in behind the defensive line. I just wonder whether that's something in this Steelers offense that we can unlock, particularly Kenny Pickett. And maybe
I think so.
We talked about Trubisky and being familiar with RPO plays. I don't think we really saw that any success there. But I do think with Pickett, that could be something where there's a benefit. I don't know. And I know it's different from saying Najee short passing versus, in that. And by short passing, I mean more sort of the 8 to 15 yards. So not quite intermediate area, intermediate passing. But I know that's different from an RPO play in many respects. But yeah, I just think we need to get the ball into Najee's hands more beyond the line of scrimmage, and I think we're gonna have to work him into the passing game more than what we are.
I think
there's some untapped stuff there, because if you get him in space, the ability for him to truck or stiff arm someone is massive.
Alfred said I'd trade Claypool for a bag of Doritos. Cool Ranch doesn't even have to be the nacho cheese. Oh, you guys are going off. I definitely would work. Pickett Pickett's going to help work Najee in this game. I think we're going to see a whole different offense too with Pickett in there, to be honest. He's more exciting, more explosive. If he can't, go through his progressions, he might check down to Najee and get him open space. We need, though, Najee to get open space. The guy's got to get one-on-one with a linebacker and then try and just see what happens. Yeah. But this comes down to blocking too, and it comes down to blocking with Claypool and Pickens and those guys and DJ. Who do we have on the receiver-wise that can really lay the smack down for the blocks? I don't overly know, right? It's not Claypool. He might be a body in the way, but, maybe get Pickens involved too. I think this offense will be different because I think what they're going to do is hopefully go the 1-2 punch with Najee Harris, get Pickett comfortable, and of course, I want to make sure, hopefully they give Pickett a chance to go and throw the football. Go and do exactly what you did with the Jets game, but take control of your offense and find your target fire move. Find your guys. If Pickett's his guy, go to Pickett. If it's DJ, go to DJ. But they're going to get this offense much more involved, I think, what they were doing with Mitchell Trubisky, 100%. So I don't even care if they win or lose, but I just want to see them have a good game and him be better.
But I care if they win. I agree with what Bad was saying. I listened to a little portion of the preview the other day. Moral victories are not for the pro football, for pro football. And I mean, Bad said they were just for 8-year-olds. I think there are other moral victories you can have along the way. And there are moral victories in what you do and causes you stand up for, blah, 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 blah. But I do think, if they can't win this game with that many injuries of the Bills that are out, no.
Well, it's still a big, it's still a hard game to do, to go.
If Stephon Diggs is out, they have their top 4 receiving targets.
He's going to be out as well. He won't be out.
Well, he's questionable right now, yeah.
Really? Where? I can't find him on the list.
He was questionable after Friday's practice.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, he did. Yeah, it says he did not play. Wow, they got no
Did not
Stephon
crack
Diggs.
this year.
They're just gonna have Josh Allen by himself out that way, and just run the football and throw it to himself. I guess.
Well, I mean, he could just run. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah,
Hey,
it's nuts.
this
I
could
mean,
be
look, they got James Cook. Like, I think he can do a bit in the short passing game as well. But he was their second round draft pick this year. But I just think they're gonna have to run the thing that. And this is where I want to transition to the second part of the show. Last week, the defense. I can't even begin to explain the defense, the lapses, the poor performance. You could tell Cam Hayward was like pretty much F this. Like at the end of the game, it's like, come on, man, right? And like this week, the rush defense just has to be on point. If they don't have it this week, that's what will lose them this game. They need to be able to like win time of possession comfortably. Keep the ball away from Josh Allen is like number one on defense, and number two, don't get gashed with the rushing offense that the Bills have between Allen, between Singletary, Zach Moss, James Cook. That is the key to this game.
Can Absolutely. Dave says here, Diggs just rested. He has no injury status. Can we somehow trade for Diggs for Claypool? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, but he's rested all week. I know. I did see that, Dave. But like, he's rested all week. I don't know. Like, yeah, he probably will play him with a painkiller or something. But even still, I just think Dawson Knox out and Gabe Davis out. Like,
yeah, there's some big fellas too for the Bills. So I think we do have a chance. It's amazing how many players are actually out on this injury report. Like, that's a lot of people. So, and we know our secondary is pretty banged up too, right? Our secondary, what? Levi? No, not Levi. Akila Witherspoon's out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and we're like almost top. Well, I think we're 13th in the league for allowing the most rush yards at like 526.
Wow. Per game.
Well, in total.
Oh yeah.
But we're about 10th worst in the league. Yeah, we're about 10th in terms of what we allowed there.
All right, so how do they go and stop the run then? Is Cam need a big game? They need to really muscle up. They need Montravius Adams there. What's got to happen?
Yeah, Jack and Bush like they need to absolutely rock up to play here. Highsmith, Reed getting into the backfield as well. I think that's going to be absolutely vital. It's tackles for a loss. You don't necessarily need like a stack of sacks on Josh Allen, but they need to win. They need to get a stack of tackles for a loss. It's massive.
Does it help being it's not prime time? It helps it being a 1 p.m. game, you reckon, for these both sides, like for Steelers to maybe have a chance? There's not the Friday Night Lights aspect on Kenny Pickett to win?
I don't think it matters. I think it's just like Kenny's got nothing to lose. That's what I like about this as well, even outside the injuries. Everyone expects him to lose. I like him against Brady, like, as well now. I think as well, like, thanks for clarifying, Dave, that with the dashes, because I took that as not that they went on the list, because when you look up Stephon Diggs that have dashes across the thing, to me that's like you're not there. Like, but anyway, that's you know what I don't understand, Mark. The NFL, with all the ridiculous rules and things in the collective bargaining agreement, have a standard process for your injury reports. Like, come on, man. It makes it look like the pack.
It's very, very complicated, I think.
But anyway, going back to like Kenny Pickett has nothing to lose. Like, and I say I like him even against Brady now. Like, look at all the crap Brady's going through off the field, man. Like, at least Kenny Pickett could go home to Acrisure with everyone chanting Kenny, and life will be good. Also, like, as I said to you off air, I think it was like week 1 of the season when after Trubisky had played, I think you and I caught up before the second show. And I said to you, put in Pickett. I don't care if we go 2-15. I don't care if he throws 3 or 4 interceptions a game. I don't. Just go with him. Let him develop. Let him grow. Let him learn from it. That's where I'm at. Now, yes, I know 10 or 15 minutes ago I said it only matters if you win. Fine, but fine. I want that to be the attitude. Whether you do that or not, that's a different question. And that's why I wanted them to go to Pickett. But I just think the pressure's on the Bills this week. 13.5 spread is massive.
Yeah, that's a lot, man.
Isn't it the biggest spread against the Steelers since the 80s or something?
Yeah, I think since 1970 or something like that, they've been the worst, the most underdog they've ever been. So, and what do we do best is we go out and win the games that we shouldn't win, and we lose some of them that we should win. So they could repeat history going there and beat the Bills, and I think it's all going to start because it's Kenny Pickett's first start. Like in his mentality, he doesn't want to lose. Like he doesn't care if they're underdog. He doesn't want to lose this game. He wants to go out there. 1969. Wow, it's been ages since they were this bad. So yeah, he doesn't want to lose, and I think that having Muth healthy and Najee Harris and those kind of guys, the O-line playing pretty okay, we've got a chance. You know, do what I think we're going to expect up.
What if this is a preview of because I think the Chiefs are going to take out the AFC now. What if this is a preview of the first round of the playoffs?
Steelers going to, if they're the seventh rounder, they could be possibly. You never know, because if they go and win the division, they'll be seed number 1, I guess, and then we'll be number 7 and go.
I think you only need 9 games at the moment.
Yeah,
I think you need 9 games to make the 7th seed.
I think if we have Pickett in there, Pickett's going to give us a better chance to win in this game than Trubisky. If they had Trubisky in it, there's no way they're going to win.
Well, but also, as if you're going to send Trubisky in against the quality of this Bills team, they know exactly what he's going to do. They had him last year, man. And Canada's not some offensive genius. Like if we had Andy Reid, or Bruce Arians, then maybe. I mean, Bruce Arians just get Trubisky killed with this offensive line. But the point being is that it's not like the Bills are sitting there quaking in their boots about Mitch Trubisky. With Kenny Pickett, it's an unknown. And that's what I love about that. And I think, right now, supposedly, the Bucs have one of the best defenses in the NFL. This is a nice, with this many injuries, like if Tremaine Edmonds is out with these safeties out, this defense is still good from the Bills, but it's not, what it has the potential to be when all those guys are in there. And so this works really well for the Steelers. I think this is really nice in that Kenny can go up against it this week. The O-line's becoming more cohesive. Then we go out, next week at home against the Bucs. Like I like this now. I'm feeling a lot better about it. I'm in the tone of voice than what you and I were the last 2 podcasts we've done.
The podcasts are way more fun because we have a chance now with Kenny Pickett. Whereas you just knew if you're playing Mitchell Trubisky in this, I just wasn't a fan of his play. He was the worst quarterback in this league for the first 4 games or whatever it was. At least now Kenny does promote the football down the field and gives the receivers a chance. He's linking up with Pickens in the back shoulder passes, linking up with DJ. This is a game now where if the Steelers go out and shock them, it'd be fantastic because it's gonna rock the whole NFL. But the Bills might use the excuse, we had too many injuries. But we don't care. Steelers are gonna try and get back to 2-3. 2-3 versus the Bucs at home would be fantastic. Now, if the Steelers do lose, you keep pushing forward, man. That's all you can do.
That's it. So, from your perspective, who's key on the defense? Who's going to shut this Josh Allen-led defense down?
I reckon honestly, I think it's a big game for Cam. I think him at the middle, trying to him getting in the face and just bull rushing whoever's in front of him. I don't care who's in front of him, right? I think it's a massive game for Cam. I think he's been quiet the last few weeks, and I think he's starting to get a bit frustrated. I know he needs help on the side, and there's no TJ Watt out there and guys like that. But I can see the front line playing tremendous where they can send hopefully 3 men and plus Highsmith and whoever's there, if it's Malik Reed or 5-man rush and see what happens. We'll send a 4-man rush because they were doing that in certain parts of the Bengals game. They're sending 4, dropping back in coverage and see how it goes. So get Josh Allen rushing around a bit like Mahomes running around crazy. And if you've got no one to throw to, who'd you say Gabe Davis is out and all these guys are out? No Knox. Who's going to throw to? Get him off his mark. I see a big game for Cameron Hayward, to be honest. What about you?
I agree. I had a question, and I've thrown it out to the live chat as well on this one. So my fantasy football team, I have Josh Allen as my quarterback. My backup is Matt Stafford. I have the Steelers defense, and I have Pat Freiermuth. I'm leaving Pat Freiermuth in there. I've also got the Ravens defense, so I'm in a bit of a conundrum this week.
You've been changing that defense every week, though.
Yeah, and I've been getting it wrong. Man.
Yeah,
every week. Even last week, the Ravens had 7 points in NFL fantasy, and the Steelers had 6 points. It killed me. But this week, I'm like, do I play Josh Allen or not? That's my big question because I'm going up against the guy that's best in my league, and he's averaging like 20 points better than me a week?
I'm not too sure. I don't know. I think the defense with Minka, because Minka's was going to have a big game. And if they sub in Trey Norwood, I think he can also play too. He played really well against the Bills
Well,
in week one.
Minka practiced on Friday. I think he was in limited practice.
Yeah, if hopefully Minka plays. I'm saying if Terrell Edmonds is out, right? Edmonds is out.
Practice.
They'll sub in Trey Norwood, and I believe that he can have a big game too. He played really well in the week one as a rookie last year, and was all over the field. So they I don't know why they are so massive. What's the reasoning why they are 14 points minus 14? Why do they have?
Well, I don't think I'm not sure that they like this injury report for the Bills has gotten bigger throughout the week, if I'm not mistaken. So I wonder from that, and also this is what happens when you've got Dave's like, I've got Diggs. He'll be fine with Diggs if he's playing killers. Unless Levi Walters has big game against his old team, which is a technicality. What was the question you asked me there?
I've already forgotten.
The point spread. The point spread.
Yeah.
Right. But this is the difference between having Mitch Trubisky, who inspires no one around this league, and then having a Kenny Pickett, right? Like, it's just so funny also seeing people in the NFL national media. There's the people that are like, Pickett played really well and showed that he's the guy. And there are people like, he threw 3 interceptions. They were bad throws. It's like, did you even watch the game? And there's people that I actually respect out of it and that I saw saying that stuff. And I'm like, no.
That kind of stuff is like, he literally played one half of football and you're already jumping
no reps,
down, right?
No reps practicing.
I'm not.
Okay, actually, though, criticism here to Tomlin. The golden question is how spur of the moment was the decision to put Pickett in? Because you gave him no reps in a week of 10-day prep. No reps with the ones.
Yeah, but when you see Trubisky playing like that, you put anyone in.
you put Presley Harvin in. Take the notion of Mike Tomlin knew that was his option if it wasn't working, and that the rest of the team had 10 days to prep and get fresh and the O-line to get more work done. I got to stop moving the shoulder when I'm talking. Get that prep that done, and that way, if he could provide a spark by doing something spur of the moment. That's the one that I wonder about with Tomlin.
To me, he gave Trubisky the best chance to win in the 4 games he played, and he did nothing. Nothing really tremendous really stood out for me with Trubisky, and that's the reason why they went to Pickett, and Pickett had the spark. They went up. They could have won that game last week. If he didn't throw the interception on 2nd and 10 with 3 minutes to go.
No, if the defense stopped it down the track, they would have won that game.
Yeah, they could have won that. They could have won last week for sure. So I have much more confidence in Pickett with a full game, full practice. He's got more swag.
Wasn't great last week.
No, he wasn't. But
there were some bad plays from Minka.
They're more confident. They're much more confident. Kenny's more confident in the team. He takes responsibility, accountability on himself. He doesn't say we. He says I. I said I need to do better. I need to do this. I can see just a whole new, fresh kind of, face. And if we lose this game, sure, that happens. But I reckon the season could go maybe to playoffs if we have a chance just to rally around behind Kenny. But and we'll see it though, right? Look, I'm not going to say if we go 3 and out, it's over for Kenny time, because we are too reactionary. We're way too reactionary to everything, right? So if he does play bad,
I just love it with Kenny. I'm here for the ride. I'm here for the lows. I'm here for the highs. I'm here for 25 interceptions, like Bradshaw and Manning, right? It was 22, but I'm here for that.
Yeah, why not?
And
we still have to get.
Dave says if you give KP8 more reps, you already made the decision. Had to get the QB there. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I guess so.
And you and I still have to get up at 4 a.m. too, mate. We haven't got any 4 p.m. games yet. It's crazy.
This is where I think, you know what though? This is where I think the NFL is behind other sports. And I know this is going to sound really critical, but it's the same thing with Trey Lance. If you draft someone in round 1, in every other sport, they blood people through the practice side of things. They don't give everything, particularly when you invest in someone that's young and is in a playmaking role. I I think they've made the decision. They've made the decision though. When they drafted Kenny Pickett, they made the decision he was going to start this year. In my mind,
Yeah, that's what
and
I'm
I'll
saying.
argue that to the cows come home.
Yeah, in the earlier show, I was like
they made the decision. Actually, just before you said it though, they made the decision. If you actually reflect back on it with Mahomes and Alex Smith, they made the decision that Mahomes could start that year. They didn't because Alex Smith played really well when you actually compare that year to what he'd done. Like they were winning games. That's why they didn't change it.
But that's what I mean. Maybe it's a good thing they went with Trubisky for the first 4 because now you give Kenny Pickett the last 13, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a full season for him to play. And Dave says here there are no 4 p.m. games. That means that there's no, for us, there's no 7 a.m. games, which sucks. Because we have to get up at 4 a.m. for the 1 p.m. games.
And there's no West Coast games, which is killing me because I'm going to be going to America before Christmas and I'm not going to be able to get to a game.
Oh, you can't get to a game?
I don't think I'm going to be able to, nah. Because I'll be on the West Coast.
Go watch the Rams. They're Australia's team.
Well, I obviously want to watch the Steelers, mate. I might be able to get to a Longhorns game, which would be lovely.
But, but you know the Rams, they're promoting the Rams for us, right? You know that, right? It's in our face all the time. It's just like why they choose the Rams, like the Los Angeles, maybe because they're closest to us. I don't know. I don't get it. Why they chose them. Like I'm entered in the comp where I can win tickets. So I might take you over with me, mate. Go over there.
Rams.
Yeah, and then wear our Steeler jerseys. I wouldn't really want to be there. I wouldn't be that excited, right? I'd be excited to go over to America, but like going to a Rams game doesn't really, you know, I'm like whatever.
Did you see on our national? We'll tell the fans here on our biggest, our second biggest morning breakfast program the other day. There were one of the hosts was making fun of 2 other hosts for instead of spending time with their kids, they were watching the Rams 49ers game. Anyway. So she's like, yeah, they were too busy watching the Rammers and the 69ers. And the whole place erupted. The whole place erupted.
This is why I can't talk to anyone in Australia, probably besides you, with football. Because it's you know, there are some people I have on my Facebook that know football, but I'm like, nah, man, I'm sick of these Australian fans. They have no idea. It's really hard to connect with them and actually like you know when someone knows football, you know when you meet them at the bar and you're like, oh you get it a lot. But then other ones you meet and go, you're talking about football since it was like 2012, like those kind of like highlights. Like
my favorite is when you run into a Patriots fan because there's heaps of them here and Brady fan. They're always wearing the Brady jerseys and like you're like, yeah, you cheated, and they're like, no, we didn't, and I'm like, yeah, you did, and then you talk through all 3 occasions, and they're like, that never happened. I'm like. What are you on? Like you guys face penalties for that. Like I had one person once say to me, oh, but deflating the ball doesn't do anything. That makes it harder to throw. I'm like, pardon? Like, what sport are you watching?
Nah, it's difficult, man. Like I've noticed when I do have conversations, and I'm saying I'm the craziest fan here or whatever, but like when people don't know football and they try and act like they do, that's most annoying. Or they bring up players and they say, well, this guy is still here. And you're like, no, he's not. He's not there anymore. He's another team.
There you go, getting some love in the live chat, mate. Marky
well, I do. I follow the team all the time. Like I love the team and stuff like that. But like when I meet other Steelers fans that have zero idea, and we're in Australia, that's why I will never go to an Australian NFL game in Australia because I don't want to be surrounded by 50,000 fans wearing cowboy shorts and New York Giants shirts. I can't handle it. And they'll be like, well, what's a 4th down? Why are they punting? Why is the game so long? I can't handle it. Can't do it. I can't even go to a bar during Super Bowl because there's too many Australian fans that have no idea about the game, and it frustrates me.
Yeah, it's pretty like, yeah, it's pretty hard. You know what though I've noticed though, like in being out the last couple of Sundays here for go watch college football with some mates and pubs. There's a lot more college football fans in Australia than there are like really knowledgeable NFL fans. That's something that I've experienced.
Yeah, they might have went there, they might have had friends over there, you know, stuff like that. But there are just, to me, there's a lot of Australian fans here that follow the game or watch it. And even on, like, I've talked to you a million times about this. There's a few Facebook sites on Facebook with the NFL Australia, and you look in there and go, what are you like? Someone, in my opinion, someone called the Niners game versus Rams a boring game. And I loved it. I love that game. It was full of defense.
Did you love the Colts Broncos game?
I love any game, right? But the Niners versus Rams was a good game in my opinion. It was exciting. It was defense. It was that pick six from I can't remember his name. He's like he plays like Troy. But yeah, maybe this is why I'll never leave my room because like I want to go to the pub and stuff. And if you and I go to the pub together, we meet other fans. They're gonna hate us. They're just gonna be like, oh, actually, I'm gonna go do my washing. They won't want to handle our maybe Steelers intellect. I don't know. They're like, these guys
Michael O'Malley says I'm surrounded by sea chicken fans.
Jesus, that's bad too.
Oh man! All right. Well, to wrap up the show, because you and I are getting like chatty. Who's the one player that wins this game for the Steelers, and who's the one player that the Steelers have to stop to win this game?
It's Kenny Pickett. Let's go. Kenny Pickett, man.
Who'd have to stop? Who'd have to stop?
And they got to stop Stephon Diggs, I think, if he plays. Stop him, they got a good chance.
Yeah. They got to stop Josh Allen from the run perspective. That when he extends plays, because they're the plays. Your defense can play well, you can cover everyone else, but when you let him make plays and scramble around and do things on his feet or rush in the 30 yards toward the end zone, that's when it's a problem for me. So if you can hit the plays he makes when he gets out of the pocket, I think that you go a long way to winning there. You force him into more difficult throws. That's a real key. And then, man, I think I want to say it's Pickett, but it's Najee. If Najee can ease the pressure on Pickett, life will be hunky-dory. Like, we need Najee to be making the rush yardage, not Kenny Pickett having to do it. Bonus if he can, but I don't want all that pressure on Kenny Pickett. This is where Najee steps up, right? If not, this is Najee. Like, you do talk the talk, you walk the walk when you're fit. This is the sort of week where you need to have a massive game. Like, you don't even have to break 100 yards, but you need a couple of like 20, 30 yard gain, like one or two 20, 30 yard gains that just change the course of a drive, soak up time of possession, put the Steelers, even if it's just putting them in field goal range, they're the keys to winning this game. Absolutely.
You're telling me there's a chance. A chance, mate?
There's a chance. As always,
go Steelers.